When it comes to movies, everyone has their favorite superhero or supervillain. But when it comes to arguing who's the best supervillain, you're always going to get a wide variety of answers. But when it comes to the perfect villain, there's only one answer for it: Thanos from the Marvel Universe. Thanos from the Marvel Universe is seen as the perfect villain because of how he was implemented over a long period of time for the movie, and as well how he appealed to the audience. Now, Thanos obviously didn't appear out of thin air for a movie. He was implemented over a long period of time. We can see that he was first revealed back in 2012 at the end teasers of all the Marvel movies from 2012 to 2018, and 2018 being his full reveal. According to an article on Screen Rant by Anthony McGillen on April 29th, 2018, they started showing the end pieces of Thanos building up this anticipation for what his big reveal would be. And by doing this, they created this greater appeal for who Thanos was going to be and how he was going to affect the entire movie series. He was also seen as more than just a one-and-done type of villain. A lot of times in the Marvel movies, they have these other villains such as Red Skull or Ultron in some of the other movies that were just in it for one movie and then gone, never seen, heard from again. And this kind of played with the audience since they never got a chance to really connect with them. Thanos, on the other hand, was seen building up and growing greater and causing the audience to wonder what's going to happen next with him. Now, also with Thanos, he wasn't one of those over-the-top characters where he seemed that everything he did was over-the-top and unrealistic. He had this human appeal and human element to him. So, according to a Forbes article by Danny D. Placido, written on December 12, 2018, Thanos really focused on his human emotions as well throughout, which made the audience appeal to him more, making him a better villain. By having the ability to appeal with the audience makes you want to learn more about the character as a whole, and being it's a villain, it's not always easy to relate with him. So by having him have real human emotion, it made the audience enjoy his appearance more. One of his famous quotes from the movie, included in the article, was, "Facts don't care about your feelings." Now for this is a real human emotion because people realistically don't care about emotions a lot of times. They really only care about facts of the situation. So the fact that he was able to replicate this real human emotion to the audience makes him feel more real and authentic as a villain, versus a villain who just kind of spews the classic evil monologue that everyone's heard 100 different ways. He really really focused on what human emotions could be. Also, going off the human emotion, there was at one point during the series, spoiler here, sorry if you haven't seen the movie, where he does end up sacrificing his daughter for his evil plot, which I'll get to later. So he sacrificed his daughter, and there's this real father-daughter bond that he was starting to create that he had to get rid of in order to gain for his own personal gain. And you see throughout the rest of the movie, he feels just absolutely distraught for it, and this creates this appeal of a real person, not just a villain that everyone was able to relate to and feel for. And going into his evil plan, which made him relate to the audience, how it wasn't this over-the-top kind of, he needs this, that, the other. What he thought he was doing was making him a real hero. According to an article on CNET written by Eloise Lowe on April 30th, 2018, the article is quoted saying, "Thanos thinks he's a hero and not a villain. He saw his own planet destroyed and wants to stop any other planet from going through what his planet went through, thus making him a villain. In his mind, he thought he was the hero when it's actually making him the villain. A lot of times in society and people, they think they're being a hero when they're actually, causing more harm than good. And I think the audience is able to relate to that more, making it more realistic and making him seem more human and more like a perfect kind of villain because they're able to relate to him as a person. As well as he's facing these overwhelming obstacles of the Avengers that people always face. Being a villain, you always kind of have that one nemesis that you always have. In this case, he's got a whole group of them who are so well known and always win. And the fact that Thanos was able to beat them pretty handily makes him that perfect villain that shows that the heroes don't always win, that sometimes they do lose, and it makes it more realistic and more relatable for the audience. Now, he may be the first villain who seemed unbeatable and has actually held many comparisons to some of the most famous movie villains out there. According to a separate Forbes article written again by Danny D. Placido on December 28, 2018, he drew huge comparisons to famous cinematic villains such as Darth Vader and Voldemort, since of the whole idea of a power grab that he wanted to have as much power to change the world as he could. He also was highly compared to Heath Ledger's Joker, not so much as the process of his why Joker was evil, since the Joker wanted to watch the world burn, when Thanos actually wanted to create a better universe by thinking he was a hero and actually became a villain. On the other hand, how Joker was always a villain to begin with for wanting to watch the world burn. And then finally, he was often compared to other villains from the Marvel Universe, such as Loki and Killmonger. Loki from Thor and Killmonger from Black Panther. Both of them had the ability to, for Loki specifically, he wanted to use his power for good, and Killmonger wanted to free his oppressed people. Thanos wanted to do both of those things, but unfortunately took an evil turn to it instead of a heroic turn to it. And Loki ended up turning good, while Killmonger unfortunately did not. So, and again from an article on Nerdist written by Michael Walsh on May 17th, 2018, comparing again to a huge compare of how Thanos would be my generation's version of Darth Vader or Voldemort for my generation. How he was this huge over-the-top cinematic villain and would be remembered for much longer and possibly play a bigger role in some of the future movies as well. So Thanos being compared to some of the greatest cinematic villains of all time even shows that just for future generations that Thanos is the one villain to be kind of worked off on how villains should be. And to conclude, oftentimes in movies, the villain has the ability to make the movie most memorable or not, and Thanos being the perfect villain for it because he is able to relate to the audience and because of his inflammation over a long period of time. So for future movies, look out for guys like Thanos who have a huge impact on how cinematic history